Hello and welcome to the Devil's Trident podcast, episode number 23, a Luke Shaw special. I'm here tonight with Matt.
Heyo.
I'm here tonight with James.
Hello, everyone.
And Manchester United have gone through to the Europa League quarter-finals after beating AC Milan 1-0 at the San Siro, and you can guess it, we're pretty happy. Not the best performance of the season, like I've said in some of the posts online tonight. The first half was particularly poor, but Mr. Paul Pogba, welcome back. I mean, we've missed him for weeks in many different respects, just his creativity. And he gave us something tonight when it looked like we were in danger of kind of drifting through the game and not grabbing that goal. We've not scored a lot of goals of late, really. So he gave us that shot in the arm, so to speak, and got us a goal, and we're through. And potentially favourites in the competition now, Matt.
Yeah, we got the job done. I tell you what, I wasn't very confident after about 30 minutes in. I was thinking, oh no, because we were looking just absolutely piss poor going forward. Everything at the back was totally fine. Like, if we'd have just if it was a game where we just had to defend for our lives, we'd been fine, because we did, and we were fantastic at that. Going forward, absolutely pants. But the thing we've been talking about over the past few weeks is the fact that we can't rely on Bruno to do everything every single week. And when you bring someone like Pogba back, it shows that...
It takes the pressure off.
Yeah, and he looked much better in the second half, didn't he? Yeah. Which is again, and you can tell how much that meant to both Bruno and Pogba and the rest of the team when he scored, because Bruno was absolutely loving it, and you can tell that. I think he even felt relieved, like, jeez, I'm so glad you're back.
I know
my back is killing me from having to carry this team.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to be pretty chuffed about Pogba being back. Yeah, definitely Bruno, especially James.
I think so, yeah. I think it's a relief to everybody in the side, but Bruno will probably be feeling it the most because they can sort of share the burden. And it was one of those nights, definitely, that I think we can all agree that Bruno was not at it.
Oh,
he was not at the races.
I think he forgot which team he was playing for in the first half.
Well, with them zebra kits, it's quite hard, it's a bit...
disowned us.
Yeah. He left the herd. But the thing is, Bruno was almost persona non grata. But then Pogba came on and sort of things changed. He changed the game. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, possibly a combination of a rollicking at half-time or, some different organisation. I mean, Robbie Savage could not get his head around the fact that Paul Pogba came on the left-hand side for Marcus Rashford, like, at all. That absolutely blew his mind, which is strange since Pogba has played there quite frequently before he got injured. I mean, in fairness to Mr. Savage, it was a while ago since Paul Pogba played. Like, it's been a couple of months, is it? 10 games or something like that? They said he missed. But yeah, he was playing there quite often, weren't he, before he got injured. So it wasn't a surprise to see him out there. And I suppose it did kind of alleviate the defensive responsibility that he had by coming on and playing further forward, maybe not having to track back as much, not having to work as hard in midfield, and it kept that solid base of Scott and Fred in the middle, even though they weren't having the best of games anyway. But you still need to keep them there against a decent side. Yeah,
well, the thing is, like, do you say they weren't having a good game, but they were still doing kind of everything right defensively? Like I said before, just going forward, they just couldn't click, but they were actually still putting the defensive duties really well, and Fred put in a pretty standard Fred performance in the middle.
Doing plenty of Fred things. And the fact that he almost scored a goal with a back heel would have been the pinnacle of Fred things. Yeah.
But obviously that didn't result in that. It didn't end that way. But we managed to make something of that, which is absolutely fantastic. What I was going to say before, by the way, before we went back to yourself, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the pod before. I think I have mentioned this pod before. Remember when I said that I met Harry Maguire's doppelganger?
No, but go on.
I'm sure I've told you this. So basically, I go for a run every day before work, and there's a guy I used to run past every day a few months back. Every day, same time, same place, exactly like Harry Maguire. Look, spitting of Harry Maguire, absolute slabhead, right? 2.0. Not seen him for ages. Not seen him for weeks. Guess what? Seen him today. Coincidence much?
Why would it be a coincidence?
Because we won. And
right.
And we've not been playing great recently, and I don't know, maybe he was our good luck charm. Maybe just maybe his arrival kind of...
Yeah, but Slabs has been playing all right recently.
Yeah, I know Slabs has been playing all right lately, but just it's weird that I want to run in today. I seen him, I was like, we're going to win tonight.
Good omen.
Seen him. Yeah, it's a good omen.
Slab had the good omen.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that. Okay. I thought
you would... Look, you give it a little thought. You always do that.
I thought...
No, I'm just going like that. I'm not...
I thought you were saying that it was like he'd been infiltrated or something, like
no,
an imposter or something.
I was just saying the last time we... well, obviously we've won a few times in the past few weeks, but we've not won loads. But when we had our really good phase of when we were top at league and we were playing really well, I was seeing that guy every day. So maybe this is the start
of another run. Is that how you judge your
well,
your
I am
analysis?
now that I've seen him and we won. So yeah, I'm definitely doing like that. So if I see him tomorrow, then everything's coming up Millhouse.
Yeah. Anyway, before we did get the goal and did kind of kick into gear with Pogba coming on, yeah, the first half was shoddy to say the least, really. Like we said, Bruno giving the ball away, but pretty much all the team giving the ball away. I mean, Luke Shaw alluded to it in his interview afterwards and essentially just called us out on it and said we were poor in possession, giving the ball away needlessly, and is bang on, really. And it wasn't just Bruno, like we say. A lot of the breaks that we got and the counters that we got through Dan James and stuff, the final product just wasn't there from him.
It was another one of those first halves that we've seen so many times. It was just not going to be our week, month, or our year, seemingly, in that first half. Don't know what I mean by that, but I'm sticking to it. We've just seen it again and again, and you sort of think that it's like Groundhog Day. And there were sort of poor performances all across the pitch, really, in that first half. Like Matt said, the defending was consistently good.
Yeah,
and that's imperative, because if we'd have played against a team that was any better than they were, we might have suffered a little bit, because we gave them so much of the ball. But I've said that so many times on this podcast. Like, we just give the ball away. We surrendered the ball so often. And I said about Bruno not being quite at the races. He just turned around and passed it straight to one of their forwards in the first half.
Yeah.
And just said, hey, do you fancy a run at our defenders?
He did that a couple of times, didn't he? I think the one you're talking about is the one where they got put through, didn't they? Like on a counter-attack. But there's one where he just span round after a throw-in and just kind of played it into middle of the field. And it was just a dangerous area to put it anywhere. But there was none of our players there at all. No. One of those blind ones that he just hooks over his head. But yeah, not great.
McTominay did the same thing as well a few times, and Fred. I don't know what was going on with them three today, but they just couldn't seem to gel at all.
No,
it's like they never met each other before and they're playing each other for the first time.
Yeah, and that's like the trusted midfield of Solskjaer, really, isn't it? And I mean, probably he's arguably got two. He's got the Matic and Pogba version and the Fred and McTominay version, but generally they're the three, so it's not unfamiliarity, especially in the last few weeks when it's pretty much just been them three in the middle of the park. So yeah, just a frustrating first half. I'm not going to dwell on it too much, obviously, but I mean, Milan looked the better side and they looked confident. I don't think they weren't too threatening, I don't think, in the first half. I know your fears escalated as soon as Zlatan and Diogo Dalot came on. Maybe more because of Zlatan, Matt, but because you were panicking every time Milan attacked after we scored, didn't you? Yeah,
I just felt like it was almost. It would have been like just written in the stars for Zlatan to score some absolutely incredible goal against Dean, and they take us to extra time, and then penalties, and then I don't know. It was just my mind was doing cartwheels, and I wasn't happy about it because the one person you don't want to play against really in that kind of situation is Zlatan, because he's the kind of player who's going to create something out of nothing and score the most phenomenal goal you've ever seen. But thankfully, Dino did his best to keep him at bay, and again our defence just they didn't struggle that much with him.
No,
So, overall, obviously, the further the game went on, it was a bit more intense, but the less chances that Zlatan was getting, then the better it was going to look for us anyway.
Yeah, though, I mean, we kind of reduced Zlatan to that, pretty much that one chance, weren't it? And he only had to beat Luke Shaw in the air, who is taller than people think anyway, but he's not the tallest, not compared to Zlatan. And Henderson does make a decent save. I don't know, I think you kind of think that he may have made more of it than it was on.
Yeah, it was almost a repeat of this weekend. Or last week's last Thursday's little howler. It was close to going down that route, and I don't know if he's trying to make it look more exciting than it was. But again, this position suggested that it probably could have done something better than that, because I mean it was an impressive save, but it could have easily not been an impressive save.
Yeah, it came in quickly though, didn't it? So
I don't know.
From a pretty close distance this time. I think it's a bit different to last week's. I'm not sure there's as much embellishment as maybe we thought last week.
I don't know, because he's still almost ducking, and he's almost like squatting down to lift it over when, I don't know, it was probably a decent height for him to be able to catch it, and it was straight at him. It wasn't like it was at an angle, it wasn't like going to his left or his right, it was literally right at him. So it probably could have just caught it. And that's what it could have done last week, but it didn't. So my worry is that we could have gone down that route again. Not to say that it wasn't a good save, because it was a good save, but was it really necessary to make it look that impressive? No,
so
I don't think so.
We're just keeping an eye on Dean Henderson for showy saves, shall we say?
Well, yeah, because I think maybe that's because obviously Dave. Obviously, we all know that Hay makes them kind of saves, which are very impressive. But Hendo doesn't make. It makes some really, really good saves, but they're not like jaw shattering saves, are they?
Jaw shattering
saves, yeah.
Jaw dropping. Do you mean?
But the dropping that quickly that it's shatter on the floor.
Oh right, okay. So it's like a whole
So
it's like a whole next step.
Yeah, look, like jaw dropping's great and all that, but jaw shattering, it's like top level.
Yeah,
it's god level.
Scholesy was asked in the studio, like we work
the
BT.
Studio.
Scholesy was asked in the BT studio in the analysis afterwards who the number one is now, and he went with Henderson.
Yeah, and I'm inclined to agree with him, but very, very tentatively.
Yeah.
Because this whole thing with De Gea, it's not as if like he's down tools. He's gone for personal reasons, as we discussed last week. Very good personal reasons, I might add. And his performances have been called into question a few times. But I think Scholes put it pretty well, really. That it's not a slight on David De Gea. He's been very, very good for the team. But the past 10 seasons he's been there. But there was always going to be a point where the torch was going to be passed on, and if it is going to be passed on, then why not to a young English lad from our academy? And yes, United could go out in the summer, and these are my words now, not Scholesy's, but they could go out and buy Oblak or someone like that. I'm sure they've got the finances to do that. It might complicate things when Hendo is sitting right there, and last summer when he came back to us, signed a contract extension, I think, as well. On top of that, it wasn't just like we got him back off loan. It was like the posing with Solskjaer was a whole big deal. And I remember, I think me and Matt were eating a curry at the time when curry houses were open. I remember just saying, like, this is pretty big, because if you take away the context that he was already a United player, like, if you just said, like, we've signed arguably one of the best keepers in the Premier League this summer, so De Gea has certainly something to think about. But I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Unless it's the FA Cup at the weekend, and then maybe you want to put De Gea in there. But I didn't think, and none of us did, that obviously nobody likes to chop and change goalkeepers, especially in the league. because that's really bad news bears when you're changing week in, week out.
Yeah.
Like Chelsea a few weeks ago. Maybe they've settled on a keeper now. I don't know. But when it was De Gea versus Lingard, and for a minute there, it looked like Lingard was going to win out because he would just Mr. Consistency every week, or he seemed to be. But now history might weirdly sort of repeat itself, and it could be him being it's that's an interesting prospect. But for the time being, I would stick with Henderson. But I would, like I said, I'd be very careful about that because I wouldn't be it's not a slight on De Gea, but it could just be the natural progression of things. And another academy player getting a long-term spot in the team, be it goalkeeper or not, we like to see it. Matthew, would you file that under things you like? I don't think you would like to see it. I'm going to throw it back to you.
No, because I still think De Gea has still got a lot to offer, and I think he still is better than Henderson. I think the only real issue we have is trying to keep them both happy and give them both a decent amount of game time.
I'm not sure.
There's nothing wrong with having two really good keepers.
I'm not sure you can go beyond this season with both of them.
I'd agree with that, yeah. Something's got to give.
I don't think you can keep both of them happy in this sort of situation for another year.
No,
I mean, it's kind of worked, but it's obviously coming to a point where it's like, what are you going to do? Who are you going to choose? But I don't. He's not done bad at all in the last few weeks. I mean, we've kept a lot of clean sheets in the last few weeks, obviously. So, he's got that on his side, but would there have been clean sheets that we would have had with De Gea, still possibly. So I don't know if he's cemented his spot as such personally but another clean sheet against a good side, iconic stadium tonight, that's another confidence boost from him, isn't it? So he's got to be happy. We haven't really talked about the goal. We've kind of gone about this game in like a haphazard way. We normally go through first half to second half.
We're going about it like United played the game.
Yeah. But I just thought it was free.
Caution to the wind and just be like, fuck it, we'll get...
Free and easy now on the Devil's Trident podcast. So, because I mean, that was kind of the first bit of real action for us, other than the breaks in the first half where we didn't really do anything with it from mostly poor passes. I mean, Dan James did have a call for maybe being fouled in the box for a penalty, but for me, Tomori wins the ball, so I think that's kind of a non-entity. Although Solskjaer thought there was some sort of penalty call. Was he talking about that one in his?
Yes,
he was. The one he was referencing.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with him there on that.
I don't think he's had the slowed down version played to him yet, probably. Because I thought it was a clear penalty at first.
It did look like he just got barged, didn't it? But
but then when you look at it back, I think was it just got the studs get there first, was it?
Yeah.
There's not a lot. There weren't a lot in it, but it actually a really good challenge, wasn't it? So
yeah,
can't complain too much.
So yeah, there was that, and then there was a bit of a 1-2-3 between Luke Shaw and Bruno, which Bruno kind of side foots over the bar, which was a decent opportunity for Bruno's standards, I suppose. But again, not much, and we just didn't really fashion many chances in the first half. But like we said, second half, we saw Pogba warming up at half time, and it looked imminent that it was going to arrive. Maybe I thought he might give it 5 or 10 minutes. I didn't think he'd have 45 minutes in him tonight, personally. But he did bring him on straight away for Marcus Rashford, who apparently had an injury. I don't know if that's going to affect him going forward at the weekend and England duty and whatnot. But Pogba arrives and just makes an instant impact, and his finish was as cool as anything.
Yeah, and you've got to give props to Fred in the build-up to that. He just sort of was bounding about like... what kind of reference can we have for Fred this week? I'm inclined to say something like he was a pinball in a pinball machine, just always there, but not quite knowing why or where it was going. But as Matt alluded to, the ball.
It's like he's being randomly controlled by those pinball machines.
Yes, but
not
by Mourinho. Fortunately, he only controls Luke Shaw's body, so that's good. But no, Fred just sort of being present. Just sort of sometimes knowing what's happening, sometimes maybe not so much. Flailing limbs all over. He's like a remote control car. In fact, no, Dan James is a remote control car.
Who else is a remote control car?
Everybody.
Just Solskjaer on the side going, go on.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like the episode of Father Ted all over again.
Exactly, yeah. There you go. No, Fred was busy and he was getting about the place, but it sort of bounded to him. He almost got that weird flick. And then he sort of, credit to him. Credit where it's due. He wasn't very good in the first half, and it was questionable whether he should be wearing a United shirt, really, like in the first half. Because in that first half performance, I was like, why are we accommodating a player like this? But you have to sort of, you have to park that. And the second half performance was better. But yeah, this in particular, he gets like he makes a tackle that sort of, it seems to break to Pogba, who then, as I said at the time, Pogba swallowed the little book of calm, it seems, because he was the calmest man in the building, even if there was no fans. He was very, very calm, and he dummied it as if he was going to shoot. Donnarumma, who, by the way, there's been some derision about Donnarumma, like maybe he's not all he's made out to be. Very good keeper, though. Very good keeper. He's been rumoured to be coming to the Premier League at some point. Chelsea like buying keepers, don't they? There's always been that, some swap deal, bizarreness, maybe in the pipeline. We don't know, but a good keeper regardless, and Pogba just stood him up, basically, and sort of put it past him. I wouldn't say that's like a typical Pogba finish, but I think he's done it. It was kind of like more what Martial would do. But we've seen Pogba do stuff like that before. And he just, he proved Robbie Savage wrong, which to my delight, because
everyone's delight.
Yeah, of course, because that's the thing about certain commentators. It's just like it's the sort of negativity. Come on, and he was like, "What's Pogba doing on the left side? It's not going to make a difference there. What's going to happen there?" And then it's like, "Well, I hope he scores now, Robbie." And I think I said, when in the chat, Pogba screamer incoming. Okay, wasn't a screamer, but he scored, and he scored from that left side. So, and he did change the game definitely when he came on. And there's rhyme or reason to it, definitely tactically, because, like you said, maybe less defensive duties. It's like Scholes said when Pogba was playing for Juventus, there was more. I think he was sort of a central left-sided, central but with a left-sided slant onto how he was playing. But he had a really good midfield behind him, so I was sort of half jokingly saying, United could solve a lot of issues by, I know it sounds really simplistic, but, go out and sign Ndidi or someone like that. I mean, it's going to cost a lot, but it's not my money. I'm sure United have got stuff floating about. Sign someone like that, and then you've got less doubts going on, and Pogba can and Fernandes, this is where dreams start to become realised, when the two of those can sort of, like, one can have an off day, like we saw tonight, but Pogba can come and just, there you go, my time to shine, and they can sort of share the limelight. They can play together, and we saw it tonight, albeit probably wish we saw more from Bruno, but, Pogba got a goal, it was lovely.
Yeah, he definitely 100% changed the game, and I don't know if it brought a bit more purpose to us, or if it was just, like I say, a combination of just, the impetus, but also, like, the halftime message that they got, and obviously they weren't going to be allowed to carry on like that, but saying Pogba came on and made a difference in place of Marcus Rashford, it's not a slight on necessarily Rashford.
No, of course not. No,
performance or anything like that.
He wasn't fit though, was he? I don't think he'd had a knock too many. I think, and it's took a toll.
Yeah, there's an argument that he's just not fit. Full stop. At the moment, he's just playing because he has to. He couldn't have started Pogba tonight anyway, could he? And he couldn't start Van der Beek. And if Rashford's half available, he'll play him instead of Ahmad and all them. But yeah, Rashford did what he could tonight. Obviously, lasted as long as he could. But yeah, I don't think that change is necessarily down to Rashford's gone off and right now we kick on. But yeah, we just started moving the ball quicker, really, and that was half of it, weren't it? We just weren't moving the ball quickly to our own men, and once we got the goal, especially, we just started dominating and. Well, not dominating, but, having more of the ball, looking more confident, and the goal just calmed us down, really.
Yeah, we seemed to click a bit more. It was just... But all the action was going to come down from that left-hand side, which it's not a bad thing at all, is it, really? Because we know we can get some results from that, but it's just why we're not getting anything from that right, and there's so many times this evening that Dan James could have offered something, but didn't offer something. And again, we don't really like calling out players and digging them out and just getting on the back about it, but I think maybe Dan's run coming to an end, so to speak. I think it might be time he drops back into the squad because the last 2 games especially has just not been as good. And again, you only get very limited results out of him. And when there's no one in the middle, when we've not got an all out-and-out striker in the middle in the box to finish any of them weird crosses that he puts in, then he's not really got really much to offer.
No.
So
we just
I don't know. I wish there was something better to offer down that right hand side. And when Wan-Bissaka goes forward, again, he's a slightly bit better at putting a ball in than Dan James, but again, he's not fantastic.
Yeah, it's marginal, isn't it? There just isn't a solution on that right hand side at the moment. Is there? It's Rashford. It's not ideal for him because he's just better on the left. I mean, he's probably better than Dan James on the right.
Yeah, but you can put Greenwood on there, but again, who's going to go in the middle?
Greenwood has to play down the middle at the moment, doesn't he? Especially with Cavani and Martial out. So I think,
although we did see a bit of a time where like Pogba was playing centre striker.
Yeah, I think, but we're bringing Pogba on so early today. Like I say, I thought he was only going to get half an hour. I think that was probably the plan, and I think the plan probably changed because Rashford had to go off, and it was, either chuck Ahmad on for 45 minutes or unleash Pogba now 15 minutes early. So I think they were just kind of managing his output, like so he drifted central, so he didn't have to track back. I think that was just Greenwood covering him while he, recuperated as such, really.
Yeah,
because if you're on the left, you still have to track the fullback.
Oh yeah,
whereas if you're in the central area, not as much. So I think it was just preserving his energy, really. But yeah, I mean, he can play in all the positions, Pogba, really, can't he? And like across the front and in central midfield. So there is that useful thing, but it's not. None of them are a permanent thing. I think we all know the ideal solution, really, in the long term, is probably spending a few million on Sancho, really, unless there's other options out there. But other than that, it's Greenwood, really, isn't it? In the squad that's done the best job out there on the right in the last 6 to 9 months or so. But again, he's probably going to up down the middle, and he cuts inside, and we've still not got that threat of crossing that Dan James should bring by being right-footed on the right, but just he has no. I think he has little final products. He's good in spurts, like we said.
I think Greenwood's better at finding Fernandes when he cuts in, whereas Dan James isn't good at doing that. I don't know why. I don't know why him and Fernandes don't seem to link up as well when that happens. But when Greenwood's on the right, there's so many times where he'll find that pass to Bruno, and Bruno can put a decent ball in. But I don't know. Dan James doesn't seem to be able to get that in because I think he just runs himself into trouble a lot of the time. Yeah. Gets the box and thinks, "Oh, what am I going to do here? I'm not entirely sure. I'll probably go down," and it didn't really work that. Tonight. So I spent a lot of time on the floor, and I get playing for the. He
doesn't win a lot of fouls because it looks like he's diving all the time, doesn't he?
Yeah, because he's going at such a pace that any little touch to him is going to send him down. But I don't know. I think tonight he was playing for that penalty.
Yeah. Any other standout performances for you, James? I mean, obviously we had Pogba. Personally, I think Greenwood, but have you got any more?
Shaw was good again. I don't think we've mentioned him yet, but no. he was good. Again, it's worth noting his ascendancy keeps rising, and he was named in the England squad. I'm sure we'll talk about that later on, but very, very proud of him. That is, it's been a long time coming. I didn't think it would, for whatever reason, I wasn't sure that was actually going to happen, but yeah, lo and behold, there he is. I don't know whether he'll start the games, whether he'll go to the Euros, we still don't know. But it's very, very positive to have United players in the squad. And yeah, long may that continue. But yeah, Shaw was good. Like Matt said, the defenders are pretty much across the back line were good defensively at doing the defensive duties. It still felt to me, maybe I'm being a bit greedy, I don't know, but as the game went on, United seemed to be getting these chances because we're a really good counter-attacking side. Everybody knows that. And we just sort of go, right, okay, let's slow it down a little. And this was like with half an hour to go and stuff like that, we'd be sort of, all right, let's just slow it down a little. And I'm not a manager, I'm not an expert. I just thought maybe just maybe go for the kill a little bit. But then you had Dan James, though, on that right-hand side, like you've alluded to. It's pretty non-threatening, really, that right-hand side at times. And it's like they've both gone to the Antonio Valencia school of crossing, where it's just get to the byline and hit it as hard as you can into the opponent's shins, at shin level. And the problem with that might be okay. But the strikers we've got, most of the time, they're not really strikers. They're like people that play out wide that like to shoot. And that's not like taken away from Rashford and Martial and stuff, but it's more about how coaching works these days, or the way formations are laid out. It's like Rashford and Martial would both like to be strikers, but you're quick, you're skillful, you can shoot. Okay, we'll play you out wide and have someone else, like a Cavani type, in the middle. So therefore, I think some of that sort of, breaking your neck to get to that near
that
post.
Instinct hasn't been. It's not drilled into him, is it?
No, I don't think it is. And even though that Solskjaer was the king of at least, well, they're just sniffing out a chance, as they call it, whatever, it's much harder to do when these players are sort of playing, I think anyway, just from what I can see. I mean, these players are playing out wide. But even Greenwood, sometimes, he's a really good, he's a young lad. He's a young lad playing the game, and he's developing really, really well. But sometimes, I think they snuffed him out a little tonight. I don't know if it's like they figured him out or whatever, but he had limited... How do I put it into words? It's like his chance will come and he will be a really good striker. And he's struggling a little bit at the moment. All strikers go through it. But again, he's being asked to play sort of out wide sometimes and stuff. And if he's leading the line, I don't... See, I always want to mention Cavani every time, and it seems like I'm repeating myself, but Cavani, I think, would have more of a sort of an instinct to go to that near post when that... Because, we can see it as fans we're watching, and you get Dan James or Wan-Bissaka, and they've got like a crossing opportunity, and 9 times out of 10 it is that flashed ball across the front. Well, we know that, so someone as a striker is thinking, okay, I'm going to try and at least... What I'm trying to say is, how many... Matt hit the nail on the head. The ball comes in and there's no one really there.
No.
And I think, what was it, late on, the ball came to... Was it Pogba again? I'm not sure, but it's like... It's tough. It's tough on that right-hand side. We are so good on that left side, and obviously Pogba going out there, and Shaw in the run of form that he's in, that looked very, very strong in terms of like creating an attacking threat.
But it becomes predictable, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, exactly. So on that right-hand side, I would, as a coach, if I was a real cynical opposing manager, I'd be like, sort of like, don't let him have it outright, but don't worry as much, because it's... And then let's focus on getting it off him and attacking, but Dan James is going through... his confidence is quite good, but he's just running at people and taking an extra touch. I think Rashford's got a touch of that at the minute, taking an extra touch. And yeah, it goes into that final product thing. There was a chance in the first half, wasn't there, of course? Yeah, so James got sort of played in, and he should trust himself with his natural pace. Of course he should. But then there's also knowing that like Mason Greenwood's waiting, and he's in space, and he's onside.
That was the penalty call, weren't it?
Yeah,
he should have played
that was
it.
Before, yeah. It was. And that's why the team element should come in. Like, understand your strengths, but also understand it's not about, like, the fact that James is a little bit limited. Yeah, we know that, and he's doing well to get into the United side week in, week out, knowing that he come from the Championship. That's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. More power to him. But Mason Greenwood is one of the best young finishers, around sort of at the minute. Just play him in. Just play him in. You've done your job, James. You've carried the ball so far, and it needs to tick along like that. It's been a bit selfish, I think. Having confidence is one thing, but being a bit too selfish with it is probably another, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that attack pretty much just epitomised his performance and United's, really. Just sloppy passing, poor decision making, and when we get the chance, it just wasn't happening. But like we got over the line in the end, and we're into the hat, so we'll move on from the game. We'll talk about the draw tomorrow and any other bits and bats after the break. Hello, it's Simon again. I'm just here to quickly tell you listeners where to find us on social media. We're The Devil's Trident on Instagram and Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter at Devil's Trident. You can also keep up to date with us at thedevilstrident.com. Okay, on with the show. All right, we're back. So, Europa League quarterfinals draws tomorrow at 11 a.m. I do believe. You're looking at me like I'm wrong there.
Aren't we 12?
Might be 12.
I thought
It might be 12.
I thought Champions League was 11 and we were 12.
Well, the draw may well be done by the time you listen to this podcast, depending how late I stay up tonight. So, teams left in the hat. I've put this out into the Devil's Trident Facebook group, the Devil's Trident Club. Feel free to join. Got a nice little community building there, 100 odd people now. Left in the hat. Ajax, Arsenal, Dinamo Zagreb, Granada, Roma, Slavia Prague, and Villarreal. There's not too much there that I think we should be threatened by, and Isaac in the group said that exactly, really, that we shouldn't really be fearful of anybody. That Roma may be the toughest out of that. Anybody agree with that? I don't know if I'm basing this on the Ajax of a couple of years ago, but there's Ajax, and I don't really like the prospect of Arsenal just because we can't seem to beat them under Ole at the moment. I mean, we won the first game against them under him in the FA Cup that time when we went to the Emirates, and Jesse Lingard used it as a dance floor. But other than that, it's been a bit hit and miss against Arsenal, so they're kind of the three that I'm looking at maybe being a bit tough. But other than that, who are you saying, James? Who do you want? Who do you want to avoid? Are you confident against anybody?
Well, I don't want to play anybody, and I want them to just hand the Europa League to us because we've tried hardest.
Okay.
That's how it works. But no, in all seriousness, Villarreal should not be slept on, if that's what the kids are saying these days. Don't sleep on them. Villarreal, coached, of course, by Unai Emery.
Oh, is
doing quite well. Yeah. So, I mean,
it's a good evening.
Okay. Granada as well, from what I've seen there, one of these kind of ones. Again, it's a bit of a dark horse situation going on there. Got some decent players. The Arsenal thing, I totally agree with. It just feels wrong. It's the same every time, Simon. I'm sick of it. So I wouldn't have liked to have faced Tottenham, but they're gone, unfortunately.
They're gone,
and I
which
don't
is
mean
none of our business.
No, I'm not even trying to say that as a... I'm not trying to take the, what I say is true. They're gone. But Dinamo Zagreb, who beat them, of course, you've got to think I don't know. It's worrying. Roma, yeah, they've got some ex-Premier League players there. Dzeko, still playing for them, I believe, and still playing quite well. Kolarov, a certain Michael Smalling.
Mike Smalling, yes.
Centre half for them. So, and Mkhitaryan, king of the Europa League himself.
Yeah, he could come back to haunt us.
So, yeah, you talk about Zlatan and Diogo Dalot not quite sort of putting us to the sword. Maybe some ex-players can, I don't like that. So, but yeah, Ajax as well. Yeah, Ajax not quite the team they were because all the
players are playing in our league now.
Yeah, and one of us isn't. He watches the games with us. I've forgotten his name, but
the Joker.
I'll throw. Yeah, right. Did anyone see that scary image? Donny van de Beek looked exactly like Cameron Monaghan's Joker from Gotham, but But anyway, I'll throw over to to Matthew. What do you think?
I'm not necessarily worried too much about the teams left in the competition. I just hope that we can actually turn up in the next round. I just want us to be able to come in and put in a decent performance and not struggle against any of these teams. I mean, AC Milan really seemed like the hardest team in the group from the last round, and we've got through, but just not very convincingly. So my only wish for the next round is we actually turn up against whatever team we get put against. If I'm one team I probably would be worried about would be Prague, because they knocked out Rangers and Leicester. And I'd be kind of worried about them because they look like they could be one to watch in the tournament and kind of find themselves in a final. And we don't want to really meet them at this point. If we're going to meet them anywhere, let's meet them in the final. But yeah, I think that they'd be my one that I'd be worried about most. But just because I don't know, just because of what's happened, and they've played with two very good teams, which we know are very good teams.
And they got through quite convincingly as well.
Yeah, so I don't think they're mugs. So again, they're the team I don't want to meet. Everyone else,
your little dark horse.
Yeah, everyone else I can kind of envision us beating. Roma will be tough. Ajax will be tough. Arsenal will be tough, but I think we can beat them because. Although I was very surprised that they beat Olympiacos tonight.
Wow, they're used to playing them every week.
I know they are, but I don't know. I feel like they don't always beat them. Oh, have I made that up? I always feel like they struggle against them. I don't understand.
They're more used to Greek attackers than Harry Maguire is.
Hey, that's good.
Fuck the Greek culture.
Good old H. Yeah.
I don't know. Don't Arsenal have that an iconic night that's something to do with Olympiacos?
Isn't that Liverpool? With the take a hit, son. What a hit, son. Take a boo.
I don't know. I'm sure
that was against Olympiacos, but
I'm
you
sure
might be onto
Arsenal have
something.
their own though. Do they have? I don't know. We're not an Arsenal podcast,
I'm
so we
sure.
don't know.
I'm sure there's some sort of like history there, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like that Arsenal probably. I didn't think Arsenal were going to beat them. I didn't think they were going to get through to this round. So
did they lose tonight? They lost. Did they lose? Yeah, but they're 3-2 on aggregate.
Yeah. So
they
went through. So yeah, like James said, please no, none of them. We'll just have the trophy now, please. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
For the record, Sam in the group also wants Ajax. If I understand his message correctly, he says Ajax. Thank you, please.
Why would you not understand his thing? As he
Because he said it in Borat fashion. That's why.
Hang on, let me reread my question.
Yeah,
did I ask who you want? Who do we fancy? No, he fancies them.
Oh, does he?
He fancies Ajax. Yeah, well, I thought that was the
Fair
case.
play,
so
Sam. Fair play.
He wants to play some big boys. It seems.
Although, to be fair, if we played some big boys and got them out early on, and then found ourselves in the final against, I don't know, Dick FC, we might be all right.
Well, we can play the big boys because young boys got eliminated earlier, didn't they? But my logic on it is like there's no place to really run and hide especially when it gets to this stage. You want an earlier. You got there early enough these games. Jesus, how'd that carry on? You want an easier draw if you can get one. But if you've got to face a team that is really going to put the pressure on you, then if you beat them, that gives you all that confidence, and it makes the game after that maybe a little bit easier if you can get there. The whole thing about us in the semi-final, it is a curse hanging over us. Hopefully this is the competition we can break that in with Solskjaer, because that'd be a really interesting sort of way of looking at things, like conquer the Europa League, and then maybe in future, give it time. It's a process. We've got to trust it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then Champions League, we can get, I'm not saying win the Champions League. It'd be very nice to do that. But start with the building block of getting the trophy under your belt, which is the Europa League. And we'd like that. Thank you, please. As Sam said. Thank you, Sam. But we didn't say exactly that, but I'm just using his quote because, whatever, I steal it off him. But then,
I think he's nicked it off somebody else.
I think he did, yeah. So no, it could be building blocks for future European endeavours. But I'm always a little bit in two minds, because you don't want, because if we draw, arguably Roma are the strongest team. If we draw them out tomorrow, or Arsenal, you could say, because with our history with them, if we draw one of those out tomorrow, all right, let's roll up our sleeves and get it done. Let's go in there, be optimistic. Don't give the ball away as much as we did tonight, because that's what worries me. Because this isn't the AC Milan. I think Scholes alluded to this. This isn't the AC Milan team of, because everyone was like waxing lyrical, like, oh, United have done so well, and they've done well, but perspective is needed, because this Milan team are all right. They're doing all right in their league. The quality in that league's dipped quite a bit. They didn't have the legendary team of Maldini, Ronaldinho, Gattuso, and Pirlo. We didn't have the legendary team of, Rooney, Giggs, Scholes, and Anderson. But it was still a sort of a big clash, and I'm glad we won. But we've earned this. We've earned this position. We are good enough to be here at this point. Yes, it's the Europa League. We're being realistic about it. So you've got to take on whatever comes your way. And like I say, if we beat an easy team, we might have to play a really hard team in the final or the semi-final, and then we might come unglued, which would be a massive shame. So who knows? Bring on the best teams. I'm ready for it. I am not afraid.
Good. I think like I say, as in terms of a building block as well, providing we can retain our league position, where we're in a much better position than we were. I think we said this last time, in fact, that when we're second in the league on a Europa League tilt rather than 6th or 7th in the league on a Europa League tilt with everything on the line. I think that's really important. Obviously, we stayed second after last week's win against West Ham, so we're going into this international break, in a decent position so far, and we've done the staying second. We'll be second by the time we come back, because no one can jump us because we've got such a good lead now into the Europa League quarter-finals. So we just got to tick the next box of trying to get in the FA Cup semi-final. I'm getting confused with all these tournaments. So yeah, but we got an international break before it, so there's 3 games for most sides, or if not all sides, for World Cup qualifiers. So plenty of football to be played between them, but the Europa League comes back pretty much straight away when domestic football returns. So the first weekend, I think, with Brighton, when we come back, and then it's straight into Europa League again with whoever we got. So, we have to find our rhythm again pretty quickly. On the subject of international football anyway, we got a few call-ups for the United squad. 5 on a technicality. Dean Henderson, who stands a good chance of being, the number 1. Probably it's between him and Nick Pope, with Jordan Pickford being out. Obviously, Sam Johnston's in the squad as well, so an ex-United, but I can't see him being the number 1 keeper for these games. Harry Maguire, I expected, probably will start as well. Rashford, if he's fit, is in there. And then the 2 that are not the surprises, but the 2 ones of note. Luke Shaw, who I think we all expected, and it's well deserved. And I fully expect him to be starting over Chilwell. And Jesse Lingard is in there. He's done well at West Ham, like we've been referencing since he went down there. Southgate in his press conference today said he's the one that's probably most lucky to be in the squad, on the terms that he's not had a massive run of games. He's had a little short spurt of good games, and there's injuries in certain positions. So his little burst of form has done him good. But who'd have thought Jesse Lingard would be in England squad for World Cup qualifiers? Even December? 3 months ago.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? And it just goes to show. Just goes to show how much of an impact he's actually made at West Ham in such a short space of time. And yeah, it's great to see him. Like we're all well happy the fact he's doing really well there. And again, like if he comes back to us, like we've said many times, great. I'm sure he'll come in and do a really good job for us in the squad. But if he chooses to leave and stay at West Ham, then yeah, fair play. You've done your time here, and we're obviously very happy for you. But to see him back in an England team after 2 years of being out and after everything he's been through, it's such a nice thing to see. It really is, and you can tell it means a lot to him as well. Like all the stuff on social media today just seems like he's been absolutely buzzing about it and how honoured he is to be back with the England fold. And yeah, there's. When you look at the tournament, the last tournament, he was one of our best players.
Yeah,
and now he's managed to come back in. And if he has a good couple of games in his qualifiers and then carries on this form to the end of the season, I don't think there's any reason why he can't go to the Euros.
Yeah, I think it will depend on injuries, like it has done this time. But yeah, if he gets on in these games, or if he starts or whatever, and he keeps up his form, he will be in with a shout for the Euros. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Whether he gets in the squad is another matter. But even for him to be mentioned in terms of the Euros and stuff like that is mad, really. So
especially when you look at where Dele Alli is.
Very, very good news for Lingard, and it's good news for United supporters and England supporters as well, because Lingard has got his place on merit. If you see him in that West Ham team doing the things that he's doing, he's
Well, they missed him against us.
They did, clearly, yeah, they did, and it just shows you how good he is. He's very, very good. The context changes a little because I think he got lost in the shuffle a little bit at United. There's so many talented players in the kind of positions that he plays in. So and plus with his personal issues and stuff, because football's psychological as well, and things. We mentioned it on the podcast last week. You know how the effects of a newborn can impact your life, and it's Lingard has had stuff going on, and he's been open about that in his life, that he sort of felt like he fell out of love with football, but fortunately he's found that love again, and it just needed him to move away and find a new lease of life, and to be given the sort of spotlight a little bit to perform. He knows he's going there and he's going to be starting. He can be, I don't know. He didn't work with Moyes, did he, at United? Because I think it was a bit before. Van Gaal gave Lingard his debut. It's hard to.
I think he was back. I think he was out on loans. I think he did pre-season under Moyes and then went somewhere, didn't he?
So I was going to say that Moyes trusts him. I mean, Moyes clearly does trust him, but it's not necessarily based on past working with him in the past. But
I think it's they had a pre-season and that was it.
Yeah. But Moyes isn't stupid, and he knows that there's a player in there, and he's linking up really, really well. And I was saying tonight, actually, I was watching the game. It's easy to miss things when they're not around. We've seen that with Pogba, though, more greatly. Like, there's been a big gap in that midfield. But with Lingard, maybe even just as a squad player, like if this team, because by definition we are like the second best team in the country. If you look at the Premier League table, and we're not doing that bad. And Lingard, if just maybe just if not as a starter, could be part of this. And the way that Milan wanted to knock it around the back really comfortably, especially in the first half, and they were drawing that press out from us, and we're quite good at that. We're still learning it. I think it's not something we did under Mourinho. If we did, I mean, it was different than Mourinho. Obviously, Solskjaer wants us to be all energy all the time, high octane, and Jesse Lingard is the epitome of that. Like, I remember actually the goal final day of last season that solidified third place for us. Mm-hmm. Was because he pounced on a mistake when Leicester were doing exactly the same. And I just thought Donnarumma tonight, because it was Kasper Schmeichel, he rarely makes a mistake, but I think he came unstuck, didn't he? And Lingard was able to capitalise. Donnarumma was just sort of, at times, like, I get frustrated at the best of times when people like to play out the back a bit too much. Donnarumma was sort of like pausing with the ball and almost daring us to press him. And I thought, Lingard just would not give that up. He really wouldn't. And I don't know. Anyway, Lingard, it was really, really good news. And whether he plays or not, different issue, but it means a lot for him mentally and for his family, all the rest of it, on a personal level, that he's back in that squad. And more power to him. Well done, Jesse.
Yeah, I think it just boosts him all around, like we said before. I mean, whether he comes back, that still hangs in the balance. I think he can either be the main man somewhere or still be a squad player for us. So he's going to have that choice to make, and obviously Solskjaer's going to have that choice to make in the summer. But either way, he's still our player as it stands, and I think we're all pretty happy for him and Luke Shaw, because it's well deserved. But I don't think that, like I said, I don't think that's any surprise. And I think the majority of the country will expect him to be the left back now on his form this season. So all positive, and hopefully they perform for England. And on a side note, Martial and Pogba are in the France squad, which is...
that's good.
Martial's not fully fit right now, but he's still been named, so that's a good boost for him, and obviously 3 games away with France for Pogba. As long as we can have no drama and stupid interviews, we'll be all good. But just a little bit on the Leicester game at the weekend. I don't want to go too deep into it because we've been talking for a while. But it's a FA Cup quarter-final, tough game away at Leicester. How are you feeling about it, Matt?
Ooh, Leicester, they're a tough one though, aren't they? They're a tough side.
I think they're going to be without Maddison and Barnes.
They're still injured, and they've got a not 100% fit Vardy as well. But to be fair, we probably need to be careful of Iheanacho because he was incredible last weekend. Getting a hat-trick. So they're a dangerous team. We just need to be completely switched on. I think it's going to be more about cancelling out them. I think we can get a goal maybe 2. But I think our main priority is just kind of keeping them quiet, which a lot of teams do struggle with.
Yeah, it in theory it is easier without Maddison and Barnes in theory, but like
there's still threats in that team though.
Yeah, they scored 5 last weekend, but it was against a Sheffield United that don't really have a manager at the moment, and it's all going a bit to pot on it. So I think there is that caveat, I think, in that goal fest, as it were. So yeah, Iheanacho's still dangerous. Vardy is still playing, isn't he? Even if he's not fully fit, he's playing, so he's still a threat. Are you confident of us going through? I don't believe no replays at this point at all. No, it's just
there's no replays in the FA Cup at all, is there?
No,
this year anyway. Yeah, I'm confident. Yeah, I think we'll do it. We just need to be able to score. Let's just hit the ball. Let's hit the ground running, get an early goal, and I think we should be fine.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know what the situation is with Martial and Cavani. Obviously, they didn't travel for tonight's game, but
I believe Cavani got a reaction from the training.
Yeah,
was that the way they worded it?
Yeah, it sounded like he ruled himself out of
I'm going to say,
game.
what necessarily is a reaction from training? How does that work?
Oh,
do you not get a reaction anywhere? Like, either you're tired or you're happy, sad?
I think, just to...
Could be ass flying.
Injury flared up again. I don't know. There was rumours that Cavani and Solskjaer had fallen out, but I don't know if that's pretty unsubstantiated, so I wouldn't read too much into that. So I think it'd be useful to have one of them back, though, wouldn't it? Just from a goal scoring point of view. Obviously, with Pogba and Van der Beek back in the squads and De Gea back as well, he's not going to contribute any goals, but the squad is looking stronger, and it's not going to be a case of filling out the bench with 2 keepers and loads of defenders. So I think that's going to be an important factor, especially since we play tonight and it's back in again on Sunday at 5:00. James, how are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling quietly confident because we can't lose sight of the fact that Leicester are very, very good. It's a cup game, so the cliché is obviously all the form goes out the window, all the rest of it. Even in these bizarre times, it's still the FA Cup and it's still got the weird sort of magic attached to it. We are capable of winning this game, but we are also capable of handing it straight to Leicester and saying, right, take the initiative. There you go. Oh, Jamie Vardy. Oh, here's yards of space. You like that? Let's not do that. And obviously, as Matt alluded to, Iheanacho in a hot streak of form, seemingly out of nowhere. So let's keep an eye on him too if he plays. I'm sure he will. Both teams desperate for silverware because, this could be Leicester's sort of. I mean, if Leicester do finish second, third, whatever, they'll have a similar directive to United where it's like, well, get your hands on some silverware then if you're not gonna win the league. And there's still some really good teams left in there. Because City are still milling about, I believe, and they are quite fond of the FA Cup.
Just cups in general.
Yeah. So, is what it is. But quietly confident, but what we need to do is we need to take that first half from tonight, put that squarely in the bin, and take some of the energy from the early bit of the first half and sort of roll with that. I hate how reactive we've been and not proactive, okay? It's fine to change things when they're going wrong or not going to plan, but we need to start on the front foot. I'd love United to get 2 early goals in a game. You just never really see it happen. And but Leicester are a good side. I'm not saying we should be dominating them by any means, but I'm quietly confident. Could this be the game that Man United go 1-0 up and then, there's a second, rather than a sort of cagey affair? I don't know. I hope we win, and I hope Martial comes back, and I hope Martial scores a goal, because that'd be lovely, wouldn't it? For his confidence, for all his detractors, for all of that.
Well, his last performance was a good one against City, wasn't it? So,
it was a very good performance, yeah.
Like you say, he's made it into the France squad on a France squad that he doesn't often make.
I don't think he's been in the France squad for years now. I don't know if that's right.
He made the last one.
Did he? Right, because there was a whole thing. I don't know if he'd fallen out with somebody, or I might be talking absolute nonsense, but he just weren't getting picked.
Quick score prediction, Matthew.
3-1 United.
3-1 United. That is bold and confident. Go on, James.
1-0 Manchester United.
I think I'm going to go 2-1 to us, possibly with extra time, if extra time is a thing. I do believe it is.
If there's no replays, yeah, there'll be
I think it's not straight to penalties, is it? I don't think.
No.
So, yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 United. Either way, whether it's extra time or not. I think tough game, cagey game. I don't think we'll come out and be the blistering United that James wants. But I think if we can just get through it and get a result, get to this international break, fall over the line, get some fitness back in some players, get some form into some players in an international break, and then that'll do us a world of good. But to come back from that international break in the quarterfinals of the Europa League, in the semi-finals, second in the league would be a job well done, I think, for this period of the season, and the final push will look a lot more optimistic, I think. Anyway, for this week, well, not for this week, in general, we'll be back. We will be back after the Leicester game, before we have a little break for the international games. So, until then, I have been Simon, he has been Matt.
Goodbye.
He has been James.
Goodbye.
And we have been the Devil's Trident Podcast. See you later.